Hi, this is Steve Walton from Tropic Heating and PatioHeat.com. Here we have a residential application, and you can see we have a wooden structure with a lattice on top, and the only obstacle I can see here is these doors. How far they swing out would be the important aspect. If they even swing out, they might swing in, but I'm not quite sure about that. We'll address that here in just 1 second. So let's go ahead and look at the dimensions of this overall patio. I have 17 feet by 12.3, and the overall height of the structure I have at 11 foot 1 inch to the top. The distance between each one of these beams going across I have at 2 feet 4 inches. That's very important based on the fact that we're going to try to place a heater in between them and not have to and meet the clearances to combustible items. Now I've haphazardly placed a dining table and some seating over here. You can see the shape of the patio is such that there's a little bit more room over here, and that's why I made some of the decisions I made. And let's turn that off here and go ahead and just look at the heaters. Oops, turn that off for a second. So what I have here is 6,000 watt units. Now I chose the 6,000 watt units because of the height of the installation, and I chose the C series just because of the look. I like it a little bit better. It's a little bit refined up here. It's got this rounded top to it as opposed to like a kind of like a rectangle top to it. But you could use a 4,000 watt unit if you wanted to. It's just not going to provide as much heat. But if you use this layout that I have, 3 of them, that'll probably give you pretty sufficient heat. Now I'm not sure where this is at, but when I say sufficient heat, I'm talking heat in the 55 degree level and up, Fahrenheit, that is. So for comfort. Now 6,000 watts is going to give you a little bit more heat, and that's why I might suggest that. But again, the center heater might or might not be needed. I'm kind of suggesting it just because, as you'll see here in just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the ray. The ray with just the, if I was to, let's say, just remove this heater for a moment, you can see that I'm not really covering the center area very well, and again, I'm not sure how the seating arrangement truly is. So if that is an important part of the seating arrangement, then you might want to move or place that additional heater there. Now 6,000 watts, you could use a control system and dim the heater up and down as you see fit for different climates. So that's important to note. Let me just put back that 3rd unit here, and here you can see that we have nice coverage throughout this whole span, and that's why I like the 6,000 watt and the 3 units. Now I offset it. You can see that there's the original edge here. I skipped I'll call it a bay, went 1, skipped 1, skipped 1, and then you can see I'm not like centered because there's an odd number of openings here. So I chose this side only because of this extension piece on this patio area here. And just a side note, the customer was talking about placing controls over here. That's fine as long as they are protected. There is some sort of roofing over here. I didn't really model that well. I didn't understand it perfectly, but that's fine that he wants to place a control system over here. Now let's go ahead and look at the clearances above the heater, and this is why that dimension I showed you earlier is very important. Here we have a 6 inch and 3/16 width here, and then 6 inches of clearance and 6 inches of clearance over here, and of course 6 inches of clearance on top. And that's why this spacing is important. If you don't have the proper spacing, then you will not be able to do an application like this. Also, some people I've seen have taken something similar to this and changed the angle of the heater to, try to throw the heater in a certain direction in an application like this. And that's not good because when you change the angle of the heater, now you have another clearance below the heater that you have to meet. And when you change that, you're actually lifting this edge up and not meeting the lower clearance 18 inches from here over. And it's on all four, sides basically. So, and that's where this door comes into the equation. You can see here, I think I have this as a 36-inch door, and actually let's just measure that out because I don't know that it's exactly 36 inches. Let's see here. It needs to, there we go. Yeah, 36 inches, so that's actually 37 here roughly. So yeah, you can see that it's penetrating this one little corner, so it's like an inch or 2 inches square up here that it's penetrating. So that's technically not meeting the clearances to combustibles. Now I know that most people will say, oh well, I don't leave the door open like that or something of that nature, but to code you need to meet the clearances to combustibles. And also this may not be combustible, this might be a steel frame, glass. Those two items are non-combustible, so technically if that's the case on this application, then this would be okay. Let's go ahead and look at the ray. There we go, and you can see that the ray is penetrating the window glass pane about a foot down further from the top edge. And we don't want to superheat a piece of glass, especially. That's why that clearance is partly why that clearance is there. We are going to superheat that glass if we leave it open like this. So that's an important part of using the system, is not to overheat things. So what we could do is, what I did here is I centered the heater within this span from this first step, I believe. And we could move it over a few inches to the right. Again, we want to look at the clearances below. You can see we still have a few inches before we meet up to this edge here, so that would work fine, and then we would no problem meet the clearance to the doorway here. So but again, you could use a 4,000 watt on all 3 units. Now if you had just 2 units, I'd probably go back to the 6,000 watts just because of the height. 4,000 only because there's a lot of overlapping here in the middle, so you're getting good heat here. But should you decide that this space over here is utilized more, then the yeah, I mean, you really can't heat up in this area here unless we move the heater out to this edge here. And by the way, just another side note, we have the mounting brackets. You'd have to match that up to whatever these existing lattice pieces are at, so that you can get them to mount up properly. You may have to put a block in here or something of that nature to allow for 2 screws to go into this bracket and mount up into the ceiling area or the underside. All right, well, if you have any questions or if you like to make a comment, please do so. And if you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application, just send your request to support@patioheat.com. I'm Steve Walton from Tropic Heating and PatioHeat.com, and please give us a thumbs up if this has helped you understand some of the concepts of outdoor heating. We appreciate that very much, and you have a great day.